is Sofía. You have been hearing my name for a while here, but I haven't introduced myself. So I am a PhD student in the Digital and Computational Demography Laboratory at the Max Planck Institute for Demographic Research, and my supervisor is Emilio Sagni. So today I will talk briefly about my first work, that is demographic differentials in Facebook usage around the world. Then I will show you how to retrieve the data from the Facebook marketing API. That was the data that I used for my work. So the structure of my presentation is this one. First, I will talk about my work, what was the motivation, the aim of the work, the kind of data that I am using, the methodology, and some findings. Then I will talk about the first homework that I sent you, that was these first steps for having your token, your creation act, and some other information for retrieving the data. And then I will go through the introduction to the Facebook data. So what's the intuition, the Facebook and its API, how to query and retrieve the data, and how we can use R for optimizing this, and what parameters we have to use. So this work, I made it with Emilio Sagni. So what was the motivation? We wanted to know how people's use of information and communication technologies, ICTs, is related with their individual characteristics and the implications that ICTs have for people's everyday lives. So making some research, we found that earlier work on ICTs were done using surveys, and almost all of them were focused on young populations, and those that were focused on older populations were carried out in developed countries. But what happened if we want to know more, if we wanted to cover other parts of the world, or if we want to know more about older populations? What can we do if we don't have enough money for going and actually making surveys and interviewing people? Well, we can use Facebook, the Facebook marketing API, for checking these demographic characteristics. So we think that the prevalence of Facebook use can be considered as a first approximation for access to digital technologies. So in this work, we address three main questions. First, how does Facebook use differs by age and by gender around the world? Second, how does the size of friendship networks vary by age and gender? And thirdly, what are the demographic characteristics of specific subgroups of Facebook users? But why do we think that Facebook can be a good approximation? Well, Facebook as a social network site is the most used social network site. So according to Statista, Facebook has more than 2 billion users. So considering that we are about 6 million, that's a lot of people that we can actually know their characteristics. So, the data. As we have been talking, we use the Facebook Marketing API. Here I am just showing you the graphic user interface. So, this Facebook Marketing API was thought for making marketing, for advertisers. Okay, so that's something that we have to keep in mind. So, with this marketing API, we can actually target populations, target people with certain characteristics, and if we were advertisers, we could actually sell some products to these people. But we are not going to use the graphic user interface, as already Emilio said. We are going to do this in a programmatically way. Okay, so that means that we are going to use the Facebook Application Programming Interface, that is the API. So you might be wondering, what is an API? An API is a set of URLs that return data responses. And according to Facebook, the Facebook marketing APIs offer programmatic access to manage your Facebook ad campaigns, custom audience, and reports. So we are going to use URLs. We are going to send these URLs, and then we are going to have a response that it's a JSON response, the JSON that Emilio already talked about. So this is just an image of the kind of response that we will have if we use a browser, and this is the kind of response that we are going to have using R. Okay, so having this in mind, it's easier to understand the data that we collected. So we have two different databases. The first one is the total estimated daily number of Facebook or Messenger users. And the second one is the number of users that match certain characteristics. That is, people that are away from hometown and people that are friends of people with birthdays in a month. So we retrieved this data from 232 countries, islands, and regions that Facebook gave us. I want to emphasize that this data is aggregated data. Okay, so we are not stalking anyone. We cannot know your characteristics. This is aggregated data. Okay, so this data was disaggregated by age and gender, and we retrieved it for 3 different age groups. That is young adulthood, that is people between 16 and 24 years old, middle adulthood, that is between 25 and 54, and late adulthood, that is 55 to 65. And this data was retrieved on 6 different days from November 13 to 19 on 2018. Okay, so after having done that, we learned that actually we cannot use all the data. We were able just to check and work with just 136 countries, and we retrieved for 6 different days, but instead of using all the data, we just work with the median data. Okay? So in order to be able to I would say like to describe the data, we decided to calculate 3 different indexes. The first one is the Facebook penetration ratio. That is the number of users between ages I and J of gender S and from country C, divided by the total population according to unique nations between ages I and J of sex S and country C. Here I am emphasizing that for Facebook we have the gender, we don't have the sex, because people say whether they are man or woman. Then we decided to calculate the Facebook elderly penetration index in order to check the amount of, I would say the penetration, the Facebook penetration for different groups, that is for the late adulthood and the middle adulthood. So if this number is 1, that means that the Facebook penetration index for these groups is the same. If it's greater than 1, that means that elderly are more engaged with Facebook, and if it's the other way around, that means that the middle adulthood are more engaged with Facebook. And we also calculated the prevalence of subgroups of Facebook users with specific characteristics. So in this case, in the numerator, we have something similar as in Facebook penetration ratio, but instead of having all the population, we restricted it just for those that match certain variables. That, as I already said, it's away from hometown and close friends of people with birthdays in a month. And well, the denominator, I already explained it. So, what did we find? For the first query, that is how does Facebook use differ by age and by gender around the world, we have this. So, given that we have the Facebook penetration radius, we were able to check this by region. Why? Well, because we have a lot of countries and we are not going to check country by country, so we decided just to group them by region. So we have America, Asia, Europe, and Oceania. So, in Asia, where gender disparities in Facebook users are particularly large, as you can see in the plot, differences by gender in adoption rates disappear at older ages. And the greatest median gender disparity in favor of the male population is in Asia, while for other regions we found that women are more engaged with Facebook. The median number of female users are more engaged with Facebook. And in North America, the female populations tend to be more engaged with Facebook than their male counterparts. Okay, and what about the FEPI? What we found with this is that countries in America and Northern Europe have smaller gaps in the number of Facebook users in the middle and late adulthood groups. And for the second query, that is how does the size of friendship networks vary by age and gender? As I said, the marketing API was not thought for demographic research, so as an approximation for this, for the network size, we use the variable close friends of people with birthdays in a month. So from here, we found that actually women typically have a larger median number of close friends with birthdays in a month than men, and that the value is smaller for women than for men, only among late adulthood women in Asia and Oceania. That's something interesting that, according to some literature, if we talk about older populations, women are not that engaged in the use of ICTs, but what we found is that in Facebook they are more engaged with Facebook. For the third query, that is, what are the demographic characteristics of a specific subgroups of Facebook users? We use this variable that is away from hometown as a proxy of immigration. So here we found that the median number of female Facebook users classified as away from their hometown by Facebook is greater than the median number of their male counterparts, except for Oceania. And according to us, these findings indicate that away from their hometown, women are more likely than men to engage with Facebook. And that for specific groups, we do not observe a gender gap in favor of men. That is something that, according to literature, is happening with the ICTs around the world. So all these are the findings of this work. And I don't know if you have some questions, or I can just go to the next part. Yeah.
Is there any risk that some of the some part of the Facebook population are fake accounts?
Yeah, well, if you go to this graph, I don't know how to, you can see that here. It's super nervous. But well, that there. We have that sometimes the number of Facebook users is bigger than the total population from that country. So that it's a clear sign that there are a lot of Facebook fake accounts for that population. So if we talk about 1624 in Asia, we have numbers that are bigger than 1.
Exactly. So, for instance, I read in the newspaper that very recently Facebook eliminated some billion fake accounts. So, if you redo your analysis of data this week, perhaps.
Yeah, I mean, this was made just in November for 6 days. So I just have this picture for that weekend, for that week. So yeah, the numbers have changed all the time. Yeah, I know.
Because when the article, the news was about users never make Facebook because or something like identified as fake users before. And these are monthly active users. And for those, Facebook reports that as part of business procedures that to report information about the account and how many they are every year and to the stock exchange. And that's about 5% fake and 10-20% get account. That's probably the best estimate is reported in the stocks.
So this is the 5%, 11% are the numbers that affect your sample or the whole Facebook population?
So that's the one that would affect this sample, because this would be people will be classified as monthly, that people may look like active users or will foster fake accounts. But the millions people who were found, people who never make it into like the monthly active users, but that's what trying to make fake accounts. So it's a big problem, but it will
keep in mind.
But it's something important. Yeah.
I don't know if there is any other question. Okay, so let's go through the first step. How many of you have done the first step? Okay, a lot. Okay, so let's go. So in order to use the Facebook API, there are some basic steps. First, we need to have a Facebook account. Second, we need to create an app. Third, we have to check the version of the API, and you have to obtain your token and your creation app. So I assume that all of you have a Facebook account. So does someone have some problem with this part? Well, you had a problem, but we found that it's something workable. It's not just you. Okay. And well, you also.
Well, in the past I used the advertising platform. It's also I know the word.
Okay. Well, all of you know the version of your.
I don't know. How
Okay.
can I check it?
Okay, for checking the version, you just have to go to this webpage, developersfacebook.com. So let me do it here. Okay. And from here, you have to go to your app. And just that I have like a weird view.
Sorry, what was the? Where can I find the link? It was on first step.
Yeah, first step. Okay, do you have the first step slide?
Yes.
Ah, okay. Okay, from there you just have to go to your apps. There must be a button. Or you can just write developers.facebook.com/apps.
And then
You just have to access your app. And once you are in your app,
yes.
you can go to the left side and there is these settings,
Yes.
and from there you have to go to advanced and then check the version of your app. There must be some place with this.
Yes, I found it.
Okay, that's the version of your app.
So
Yeah,
the
everyone's
version
welcome,
have to be the version has to be 3.2.
No, that's my version because I created my app a long time ago. So some of you must have 3.3, that is the new version. Okay, and what about your token? Do you all have your token? Yep.
I have it.
Okay.
You have it?
Yes.
Okay.
If you don't have your token, raise your hand at the end. But you don't have an app.
Yes, the same.
So if you have an app, but you don't have a token,
And your creation app, do you all have it? Okay. So now we're going to use the Facebook API. So could you please go to this webpage? So here is a repository with all the information regarding this workshop. So you can find here this R code called Basic Steps. Well, first you can download the whole repository here with clone or download. So if you just click download zip, you will have all the information here. Okay? So this part called basic steps, it's the code that we are going to follow now.
If you just download all the code, then open the R code basic steps. Let us know.
Yeah, so far so good. Okay. Okay, let's talk about the graphic user interface. If you go to this webpage, Facebook/Ads Manager, we can actually access this graphic user interface. So from this page, are you all here? If you have some question, just raise your hand. Okay, we just have to create a new ad. We just have to say that this ad is going to be for reaching people. And then we just have to go to audience. If I'm going too fast, just tell me, I can do it again.
Sorry, I have a question.
Yeah.
So I just followed these steps and it shows me an estimated daily result. So on the reach it says 2.6K. Does this mean there's 2,600 people?
Ah, okay, you're already there. Ah, okay. Wait. You're going too fast. Yeah. Okay, so now I'm going to open here audience. Okay, so my screen is kind of reduced, but this is the graphic user interface. So here you can check the kind of parameters that you can actually use for the URLs. So for example here, I cannot show you the whole thing, maybe. There. Okay. So for example here, the population that I as an advertiser am going to reach are people in Germany. Okay, so these people are between 18 and 65 years old. They are the entire population. I can also say more about the kind of placement. So for example here I can say like, okay, I don't want the whole population, I just want the people that actually use Facebook, and I don't want the people that use Instagram, and I don't want the people that use Audience Network, and I just want the people that use Messenger. So this is the kind of data that we are going to retrieve. But instead of using the graphic user interface, we are going to use R. Okay? Well, so this is kind of the intuition. So now, instead of using the graphic user interface, we are going to use the Facebook API. So for this, we need to create a URL. Okay, so as I already said, once we have this URL, we can perfectly use a browser, and the browser is going to give us the JSON database. Okay? So if we go to the R code, here you just have to replace with your information, with the version of the API that you are using, and with your creation ad, and with your token. Do you already have that step? Yeah. So once you have it, you just have to copy it. And if you paste it in the browser, you will have the information here. Yep. So, in this case, I am asking for the Facebook users that live in Mexico, that are men, and that are between 16 and 24 years old. Yep.
Sorry, I have a question about the previous step.
Yes.
So when we replace the creation act and token, do we keep the
I know.
brackets?
You have to remove them.
So it should be token equals and then the token. That's it.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. Without this, and here your numbers, and here without this, and here all your letters. Whatever it is. And also for this version, you have to remove this. Yep.
I get an error. So I put the act here, and I replace the token here, right? And I just take this.
Ah, wait.
Ah, out of it?
And now.
No.
There it is. This is one. This is that they're using from. So you it's this way.
Yeah. So
It's just that they're using from, and then pricing up. So the way it's displayed kind of.
14 million.
Yeah. Yeah.
14 million. Let's ask you.
Solo tienes que descargar. Déjame ver esto. ¿Ya descargaste?
Sorry, so can you show the result you get when you just go to that URL? So what does this tell us?
Yeah. Okay. This one, the estimate DAO, is the estimate daily number of Facebook users. And estimate MAU is the monthly estimate number of Facebook users. And estimate ready means that we access the right server. Because, I mean, this is something that I have heard. I haven't asked any Facebook, actually, developer, worker, whatever. Why sometimes this is true and sometimes this is false, but I have, according to my experience, if it is false, it's because that data is not reliable. And if it is true, that means that everything is fine.
So there's 9.5 daily users as of now, and there's 9.5 million daily users as of now, and 14 million users per month.
Yes, we are talking about Mexico, and in Mexico we are 130
this was
million. So that makes
So where was the Mexico in our URL?
here.
Okay. Sorry, I didn't
Okay,
see
don't
that.
worry because we are going to talk about this in a moment. Okay?
And the time period, where is it? You said you selected 6 days. Where is it?
No. In my data, I retrieved this data 6 different days.
Okay.
But in this case, we are just returning this now.
Yes.
So you cannot control for the time period. You just make an extraction at the moment.
Yes.
Exactly.
Gender,
Yeah.
respond, maybe name.
It's like a screenshot. Yeah, but I have checked, for example, for different hours in a day, and this doesn't differ. The only thing that could happen is that we access the wrong server, and this estimated
So if we
it's wrong, but it says false. But if you have the truth, the number of users, it's kind of the same through the time.
Do you have limits in accessing this data? In the sense that can you set up a program that every day collects this information at a regular time and then you build the time series?
Yeah, there is a limit. You can retrieve, and then you have to wait 5 seconds.
5 seconds.
Yes.
5 seconds. So the idea is that there is a number of calls that you can make every hour. I forgot how many you can make.
It's just that in the Facebook web page.
So but if you make the program sleep every 5 seconds, you can do that on forever.
Yep. Okay, so let's time this. So well, here in the code you have this part that is remove, and you see that is just for cleaning your environment in R. And now we're going to use these libraries, tidybears and JSONLit, in order to retrieve the information through our URL. Okay, so we're going to pass our credentials to Facebook, to a URL that is actually a string in R. Okay, so please here where it says token, just write your token. Where it says add, just write your add. And where it says credentials, we are going to paste everything in a string. We are going to concatenate the information. Okay, so just replace here with whatever token you have, but also using this float. And here in the creation act, please keep having the quotes. And also here in version, you just have to replace the X with your values. Okay. Yep, so far so good. Okay, so now we are going to pass different variables to the string. So here we are going to say the minimum age in H1, the maximum age in H2. In G, we are going to save the gender, that can be 1 or 2. 1 means men, 2 means women. And in C, we are going to write the code of the country. So in this case, I chose Germany, but you can perfectly choose whatever other code you know.
We have this list of nodes for
I wrote some of them in the repository. So there is a CSV file, and you can check some of the European countries there. But if you need more, you can perfectly go to some other web page, like Wikipedia, and they have everything there.
I mean, they're using same list for like the full record they have this for countries.
Could you repeat that?
they're using the same list of codes for all countries like they have in UN records, or it's different codes? Because in UN also the BE for Germany.
Yeah, they use the same. Actually, you can use 3 different codes. Some are just numbers. I don't remember the name of that code. Some just have 2 letters, like here, and some of others have 3. And Facebook recognizes the 3 kind of codes. Yeah.
Sorry, I have a question about the previous step. So there was add version and then credentials. Do we have to do something about credentials?
Yeah, you have to run that part.
Oh,
You have to save it.
But nothing to change in it.
What do you mean with change?
We just run it.
Yeah, you just
as
have
it
to run
is.
it. Yeah. Yeah, we're just setting up everything.
Credential things as equal.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, so as I already said, we are using the Facebook API through R. Okay, so the Facebook API works with a JSON format. So that means that, for example, if we check gender, we will see that it is between these brackets. If we check countries, it is also between these brackets. So that means something in JSON format. That means that we are creating an array. Okay? So anytime that you see these kind of brackets, that means that you can actually pass more parameters. So let's say that you want not only the women that are using Facebook, but also the number of men. That means that instead of writing just 1, you will have to write 1, 2. Okay, if you want more countries, instead of just writing D8, you will have to write more countries.
In the brackets.
In this case, you don't have to write the brackets again because they are here.
Okay.
You just have to modify the G and the C. So, for example, if I want men and women, I have to write here. I will have to write this as a string, and then comma 2. Yeah. For example, if I want another country here, I just have to add it here. Yep. Is there any other question?
You cannot set an overall option saying that I take all the countries. I mean, you don't make a selection by country.
By what?
I mean, if I want to have information for all the countries of the world.
Yeah, there is a way. It's just that I don't remember the name of that code that Facebook has, but you can actually write like worldwide and it will give you for the entire population. Yeah, if you want more information, you can actually go to this, I don't know where I wrote it. Yeah, here to this webpage, and all these parameters are explained.
And it's information lab also available. At international level, like only for Catalunya.
You can go as deep as you want. Yeah, Facebook allows you just, for example, if you want a radio, you can just write the...
5 kilometers.
Exactly. Yeah, but you have to check their parameters because I don't remember them. Okay, so let's see what happens if we run this query. Well, I changed it, remember? Because I wrote Mexico and Germany, and I also wrote 1,2. Yep. Yep, everything fine? Cool. Okay, here is a little exercise. Actually, I already showed you how to do this. So just let me know when you finished it. I will give you 5 minutes, maybe better.
It's like I have a missing package, right?
No.
It's big. What's this one?
Go to them. You haven't installed anything here.
But I can also have like What's the other command?
Install.
No,
Install.
require.
Okay.
Actually, I used to just like years ago. It's been some time.
Sorry, the link doesn't work anymore. Targeting specification. That web address targeting
This
specification.
one?
Yeah, doesn't work.
Here it is.
Or just try it right now.
I don't know what happened. Yeah, sometimes it's the internet here.
So, is that the link? That's the link.
Yeah, it's this one, without the point.
And it's working for us, but not. You need the point again.
Dots.
Not without it.
Never mind.
Does the link work for some
You
components?
can check.
Check it.
Just that we've got the exercise. It works for me, but I think you shouldn't select the dots at the end. Or maybe because
Yeah, I found it.
I'm logged in on Facebook.
No. I found it. Yeah.
Okay, so for example, if you're checking this information here, the kind of thing that we are using is CURL. So anytime that you want to check something, just go to CURL and everything's going to be fine. Okay, so did you finish your exercise? Yeah.
I need more time.
Yeah, that's right. That's fine. No worries. Okay, well, it's the same, okay? So that's not the Ajá, pero nada más hasta los bonds, y los derechos,
Eso no es. Tengo varias cuentas, y nunca estas cuentas.
This, but this array goes here.
Ah, ya, ese estaba metiendo la mira eso. Ya va.
Let's change this to what we use. Alright, so let's
I have to.
so there was something wrong with the listing.
Ahora los puedes todo, no lo ves.
It shouldn't be a string of strings. It should have been a list of strings. Okay, so now we got this automatically, right? MAU and DAU. Let's change the number back just to confirm that this was correct. Yeah, 6821.
Yo iré haciendo pruebas a ver si encuentro.
Okay. Okay, so let's see. I have here the answers. So what you had to do is just change H1 to 20, H2 to 55. Then here for E, it's 1, 2, and for C is ES, DE. Yep. Do we all have the same? Okay, so here I also wrote how to access the list. So for example, if you only want the daily number of Facebook users, you can access with this. If you want the monthly number of Facebook users, you can access to the list in this way. Yep. So far so good. Estamos accediendo a la Facebook page a través de ¿sí? Beatriz te funciona. ¿Sí? Okay. Sammy, did you have some problem?
No.
No? Okay. Well, so now we're going to check how to retrieve data just for certain characteristics. So, as I already told you, for my work, I retrieved two different characteristics. That was the number of users with close friends that are close friends of people with birthdays in a month, and what was the other one? People away from their hometown. Okay, so for this, we are going in order to retrieve the whole database with the different characteristics, we are going to use this library, HTTR. Okay, so the kind of characteristics that we can retrieve are demographic, interests, and behaviors.
Sorry, when you say people away from home, it's what the Facebook call expat.
No.
No? It's these characteristics that the
Yeah.
connection is in
Yeah.
that moment different from the usual home location, but they're not yet qualified as an expat.
Well, I have been thinking about this, and I would say that people away from hometown, it's people that can also have moved to a different county, but in the same country. So it's like internal migration, and it's also considered for the whole migration. So it's considering like all the different kind of migrations that can happen.
But obviously you don't know since when they move and so on. You just know that it could be for the weekend, that they just connected at that moment because they spent the weekend in Sevilla, for instance, correct?
Correct.
But can't we check for that? Because at Facebook they ask you where your hometown and where's the place you live. So if you go for a holiday, you probably don't change the place you live, but Facebook your geolocation would show you somewhere else. But can't you control for the two, just the hometown and place you live? Or is it like people don't report that?
Well, I remember in the advertising platform there is a way to select the expats.
Yeah, you can.
And there is an algorithm, Facebook uses an algorithm to, let's say, identify this category. It's not that transparent, but
yeah, it's just that Facebook not only consider what you are saying in your Facebook account, they also use other things like your cookies and your IP address and all this stuff. So it's not only what you are reporting, it's also what you are kind of doing. Yeah. Yeah, so, I mean, I cannot clarify your query, but I would say that it's kind of internal migration also. Okay, so, go here. We will have all the different demographic characteristics. And here you have a list of 72 different characteristics, the description according to Facebook, and also, well, here it was true, false, different, the audience size for these different characteristics. And you can change that in order to retrieve not only the demographic things, but also other interests or behaviors. So the list is kind of large, and you can play with that. Okay, so for example, if we want to retrieve,
Sorry, question about the list. What was the last column, the real time? What does it mean? I mean, do we use this?
no, we didn't use this. I mean, I don't know what is this. Yeah, but what I do anytime that I query something is to check this part, estimate reading.
It should be true.
Yeah. Okay, so here we are going to check just for the first row. That is people who have been married for less than 1 year. So anytime that we want to check some characteristics, we have to check the ID, the name, and the type. So here in the first row, we have live events, this is the ID, and this is the name, newlywed. And we will save these in this variable that I call marketing. So here we are going to save everything, and we are going to pass it to the Facebook API through this parameter, flexible expect. So for this one, as you can see, it's also an array because we have these brackets. And we have these curly brackets that will help us, as I am going to explain in a moment, to not only retrieve one kind of characteristics, but we can also check people that target more than one characteristic of different people that target different kind of characteristics. Okay, so if I save this here, so this is the daily number of users that are just married. Okay, so in the case of specific characteristics, you can make the next queries, that is one characteristic and another, and one characteristic or another. That means that if we say and, we are asking for the people, I would say that are expats and parents. So it's people that match two different characteristics. But if I use or, the number of users that are expats or parents, that means that I have two different populations and I can also have an intersection between them. I don't know if I explained myself. Yep. So in this case with and, this is the kind of query that you have to use. So you just have to separate the curly brackets through this comma. And if you use the or, that is a little bit more complicated because if they have the same type of characteristic, so for example here it's live events, that means that you will have to group them in the same curly brackets. But if they are from different types, you will have to separate them in different brackets. So let me show you here. For example here, I took this example from this page that is also from Facebook, and it says the people that are travelers or like soccer or movies. So in this case, all travelers are in this type. Those are behaviors. But for like soccer and movies, they are interests. So we have to put them together. And we are separating them through the brackets. Yep. I don't know if I explained myself. Yep. Okay, so here are two other exercises for you in order to test your understanding. So just raise your hand if you have some questions.
Can you please tell me again why you choose close friends of people with birthdays in a month?
Because we think that it's some kind of approximation of the size of the network from that users. So if you have more friends, if you are friends with more people, that means that your network is going to be larger. So the probability of having friends with birthdays in that month is going to be higher. So that's like a way of knowing the size of the network.
So one of the ideas is that we would like to know the size of the network of people, but we don't have that information. But for marketers, it's useful to know when people are friends with birthdays, because then they can advertise gifts, those kind of things, and that's the type of information that is available to marketers. And perhaps, like, from the research point of view, one thing that was interesting for us was to see whether the network size changes with age, like where people are older, fewer friends, and the closest proxy we could find was these friends with birthday. And it works a lot in the random, even the year before that.
Okay, thank you.
What is the seasonality, but okay.
The seasonality and there's also
This would apply to everybody, so
Maybe it's because we have different versions, so if you want to go here, write this one symbol on it. Yeah, I'm gonna answer this. Well, the other way is here, okay.
The name is away from the
313?
Yes.
Right.
Well, yeah, we didn't say that.
And
Because
then
there are more people here.
true point.
Okay, I forgot to mention that in this part, you have to change this for your version of the API. So in my case, it's 3.2, but in your case, must be 3.3. Yep.
can I ask you something else? Why in your analysis have you excluded Africa? Have you
Africa. Well, when we were taking the data, it was really noisy, and it was not easy to know whether that data was reliable. So we decided just not to use it.
and how could you spot that were very noisy?
How?
You said they were very noisy data, you said.
Yeah.
How did you assess that?
Because we had for 6 days, and we were checking what happened during that 6 days, and for Africa it was just, we didn't find like a clear pattern for the different days for one country.
Okay.
Did that work? Yeah. So if you have any questions, just raise your hand, or if you're too shy for whatever, just tell me.
Okay, we need to say something like
And this, because you look at daily active users, correct? And have you looked as well at monthly active users to see whether the patterns were more stable?
Yeah, the thing with Facebook is that anytime that you query something from a population that it's not large enough, instead of telling you that, okay, this population is not large enough, in the monthly number of users, they give you just 1,000. So sometimes 1,000 is not reliable because that means that you don't have anything. I don't know if I was clear.
Well, I had still Africa in mind, but okay.
Yeah, so if you are doing something and it's always 1,000 for that month, that means that something is not right.
The first list
Okay.
is so, for example, here, you will start so it's a life again, right? The type is life again.
But in general, I think it's very important to collect the data for several days. And there's like, when I talk to people at Facebook, they mention a lot of things. They sync, like even if they have the data at one point in time, the way they sync the servers, they may not be synced at the same time for like different parts, just because the data are very large. And so you may get like variability from one day to the next just because of these sort of technical aspects. So that's why it's important to.
Yeah, it could be the disconnection of the servers from Africa, or it could be the fact that the people there have irregular access to Facebook, so when they go, I don't know, informatics, they can That's why we widen the time interval where this would have stabilized a little bit.
It's those here. And then so this is the list of behavior. And then
Porque descargar el R menú y volver a copiar el token de ella y descargar el
here, right? And then you need to come here.
La versión que sale equivale a la misma que
Es que no debe ser la misma. Esa es la
ya no ya, pero
Okay, yes. So now
yo sigo
and you need to come on. Okay, so type 2 and
Y
the
esa es el
this one, right? Close friend of people. I think this is the name. This is the name. So close friend of people with their face. And then ID.
Además, ha hecho en este proyecto, tampoco puedo crear una aplicación nueva, porque ha habido problemas. No es como o sea, es Facebook, que ahorita te deja generar una aplicación nueva,
tengo varias.
Ajá, y luego para el marketing. Ah, bueno, pues vamos a ver.
Right?
Ah, bueno, está. Tu versión es 3.
Okay, so we didn't even need it. We did some extra exercise. Okay, so our flexible spec is ready. Now we need to learn how this impacts this spec.
Sí, pero ese no es el número.
Right.
El número
Let's
es
get
el
an
que
example
vemos.
here.
Puedes entrar al Facebook.
O sea, mi número de
This type of number.
pues ya que está,
But where does this go? Does it say it's, I think it goes at the end of here. Yes, because it's like age and then flexible spec is just something like that. Yes, here. No,
Y aquí hay que escribir diagonal,
So this is like suspended. Let's need to come up.
como he cambiado de usuario, que estoy probando de ver vamos a recuperar esto.
Maybe we weren't careful here. What's this? This is supposed to be it's not. No, I cannot see it's crucial. Is this gray or green? Is it gray? But it shouldn't be. Can you touch this one? Oh, okay. Sometimes this I can okay. But then what about this? Is everything alright? This one opens here and closes here. Oh, that's an issue, right? Because no, it opens here. No, that's okay. The other ones you will have to come on. Yeah, but this is the last variable. But what's happening? Or maybe it's fixed. Maybe it's late. There is just okay. This is for this one. This one. Oh, yes. This is fine.
Okay. Sí, ¿la podemos checar? Sí, sí, sí.
You put ID and name. No, that's the only question. But this one is live events. This one is live events. Live events. List and S. Okay. So, but I only did some of that. At least.
Okay.
No, I think
Did you
they are safe here. Oh, they are safe. Okay.
Do you need more time, or
yes,
shall I?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. You got it.
You got it.
Last second. Yes.
Okay.
Right.
And what about the others? Okay. So the first one can be coded in this way. So we want the number of women between 50 and 60 years old that live in Spain, that are away from hometown and close friends of people with birthdays in a month, and are Facebook users. So we just have to change here the age, the gender, and the code. And then one way to know in what row is away from hometown is just using which, or you can perfectly check like through the database. So here the row, it's the 7. And the second one, it's in the 44. I mean, there are some different ways to do this. Yeah.
Sorry.
Uh-huh.
How do you do it here? You have
okay.
To go.
So here the data frame has this column name, and what I am doing here is using which in order to check what row will give me true. In this case, I am comparing this string with all the strings in that row, in that column. So I have false, 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 but there is one that is true.
Yes.
So what which will give me is the
Index.
number, the index for if
Yes.
that one is true. So that's what I'm doing.
Okay.
Yep.
Yes.
Yes. And I am also doing that for close friends. Yep. So I have this. Yeah, I mean, there are several ways of doing this.
We did a hard way. We went to the table and just checked
Copied
it visually to find it and then copied it.
That's also fine. Okay, and then you just have to replace here in charts using like the code that was before. And then you just have to query. Do we have the same?
What's your result? There's a slight difference
Are you checking for and or for or?
for and.
Okay, we can check if you want. Well, the next one, that is or. Did you do or?
No. Something was wrong with the ages, like that.
Ah, okay. What about the others? Did you have the same?
Uh, gender is
Yeah, the number of women. Let me check. Maybe I didn't run this part. Ah, sorry. I think that I didn't run the first part. Sorry.
We had some issues as well, so
Ah, okay. Okay, perfect.
we were wrong, you were wrong. So in terms of being the same,
We were
we
the
were the same. Both wrong.
Okay. And what about the second part? Did you finish the or?
The other exercise.
Do you want to check it? We'll still have 3 minutes.
For all, it's easy because we run this. Right? That's it. Oh, this is. And this is over. Oh. It is there for or for it's 1 5 cents and budget. So we should be good. You can go with this absolute spectrum, this, and then do you want and you put your that you want to be you want to check the growth stream? Or between these two. Okay.
instead of putting it like this, you want to use it. Obviously, you want to stick to maybe a little bit different I'm not sure how this is coded, but let's just execute like this to make sure. This is it, right? Well, you just have to, there's a second, but then inside you need to put the wire. Yes, exactly. No, no. Sorry, you want to do that one, and you want to take some capture.
Ah, okay, okay. All right.
This is fine, right? I think so.
Yeah, I know. I tried to
the other day.
Like events.
I go back to the ventures. Once I can figure it out.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so now it's 6 p.m. so time is over. Okay, I am just going to show you how to use the OR. So in this case, given that our variables come from the same type, that is live events, we have to group them together. Okay, so that means that we have to write here type 1, then open the brackets, and then just write the two IDs and the two names in these curly brackets, separated by a comma. Yes? And well, if we do that, then we just have to go again through the same code. And that's all. Okay. So I don't know how long will that take, so I also wrote this part of the code that is so far so good. And it's just to write the same code that was used for my paper, I would say. Okay, so I'm going to upload everything to my repository. So if you have any question or if you want to check like the right answers, you can just go to my repository. I will do it tomorrow. So everything is going to be there. And also if you want to try this part of the code, feel free to do it. And if you don't want to check my repository, or you want to do it yourself and you have any query, just send me an email. Yes? Okay, so that's all from my part. So if you have any other question or whatever, you can send me an email. Just follow me in Twitter.
Thank you.
So thank you. Thanks so much.
Okay, cool. Of course, you will get questions. I don't think.
Okay, yeah, for sure.